in the heart of the ancient city of Eldenwick, where twisted alleys whispered secrets of forgotten times and shadows clung to the crumbling stone, a young historian named Adrian found a peculiar, dust-laden journal in the depths of the city's abandoned library. Its cover bore a symbol neither of language nor known civilization, a swirling hourglass etched in blackened silver, pulsating faintly as though it were alive. Curious and driven by his obsession with time, Adrian began reading the journal under the flickering candlelight, unaware that each word he absorbed sent invisible ripples through reality. The journal recounted the story of a man, centuries ago, who had discovered the power to manipulate time, but at a terrible cost. Every temporal shift bound his soul tighter to an eternal loop of suffering. As Adrian's fingers traced the intricate scripts, he felt an unsettling chill creep up his spine, and the candlelight danced as if disturbed by unseen hands. That night, when the city lay silent under a crescent moon, he woke to find himself no longer in his apartment, but in a dimly lit chamber that mirrored the illustrations in the journal. A pendulum swung above him, each tick resonating like a hammer striking the air, and on the walls, shadows stretched impossibly long, forming faces that whispered his name with hollow desperation. Desperate to escape, Adrian fled, only to discover the city had transformed. Streets looped back on themselves, buildings aged and decayed in impossible cycles, and strangers' eyes held memories of events that had never occurred. Time itself fractured around him, moments repeated with sinister subtlety, as if reality were mocking his very existence. He encountered a woman, pale and trembling, who warned him that the journal was cursed, the Chrono-Curse, and that every attempt to leave Eldenwick only deepened his entanglement. Ignoring her pleas, Adrian pressed on, thinking himself cleverer than the curse. But with each passing hour, his reflection in mirrors aged backwards, sometimes young, sometimes ghastly old, each version screaming silently at him to stop. Days and nights became indistinguishable. He could no longer discern if he was dreaming or awake, and the journal now appeared in his hands at every turn, pages flipping on their own to mark the hours he had yet to live. Shadows grew sentient, stalking him with memories of his failures, and his own face twisted in pain. In his desperation, Adrian tried destroying the journal, but it reassembled instantly, humming with malevolent energy, and a voice from nowhere, neither male nor female, neither human nor animal, spoke. Time remembers what you forget. Terrified, he realized the curse was not merely the manipulation of time, but the stripping of all certainty, leaving only the repetition of dread. Days blurred into nights, months into years, and with each cycle, Adrian's mind frayed further. He saw countless versions of himself wandering the streets, all trapped in a loop of horrifying déjà vu memories of loved ones and friends twisted. People he once knew appeared altered, their eyes reflecting the Chrono-Curse malice. Even the woman who had warned him became a phantom, fading in and out of existence, sometimes pleading, sometimes screaming, sometimes accusing him silently with hollow gestures. As reality splintered, Adrian discovered a chamber beneath the city, lined with clocks of every conceivable design, each ticking at different impossible speeds, and he understood the cruel design. These were the anchors of the curse, a lattice of time stitched by the original wielder of the Chrono-Curse. Determined to undo it, Adrian attempted to shatter the clocks, but every broken piece reformed instantly, each tick echoing louder, closer, until it reverberated inside his own skull. His own body began to betray him. Movements repeated before they happened, words escaped his lips before he formed thoughts, and sensations came in overlapping waves, like echoes colliding in his nervous system. Finally, in a moment of despair, Adrian understood the terrible truth. The curse had no loopholes, no escape. He was both prisoner and warden, victim and perpetrator, caught in a labyrinth of moments that refused to progress or end. The city itself seemed to pulse with his suffering, streets bending like liquid under invisible hands, and he could no longer tell if the terror was external or born entirely of his mind. He screamed, but the sound was swallowed, repeating back at him 1,000-fold, a chorus of anguish that belonged to every soul ensnared by the Chrono-Curse across centuries. As he sank into the final inescapable realization, he became aware that the journal was alive, feeding on his obsession, and that any attempt to read, to remember, to think only tightened the chains of the curse. With one final shiver, Adrian understood that the Chrono-Curse did not merely trap time. It trapped those who dared to understand it, and in his last conscious thought before succumbing fully, He saw the swirling hourglass in the journal pulse, and whispered to him, "Time is yours, yet never yours at all." And so Adrian vanished, leaving Eldenwick empty, but eternally haunted. The city shadows waiting patiently for the next curious soul to stumble upon the Chrono-Curse and begin the cycle anew.